Okay, so our planet has been spinning for 4.5 billion years, which in the grand timeline of the universe is literally an eternity. And yeah, we know of ancient corals down in the black depths of the ocean that can survive for millennia, but what about us? Think about the number 256. For centuries, there have been these whispers, rumors, and classified records suggesting that a human being could actually walk this earth for over 2.5 centuries. I mean, it's a number that completely and utterly shatters our understanding of biology.
I know, it sounds exactly like science fiction, but this is a mystery that has legitimately haunted researchers for decades. Look, human life expectancy has absolutely skyrocketed. Back in the 1800s, barely any country saw an average life expectancy past 40. Today, medical science is advancing at this breakneck, almost terrifying speed. We're literally swapping organs, we're rewriting DNA. But it all brings us to the ultimate question. Does the human machine have a hard, unavoidable expiration date? Or are the legends actually true?
Well, in this explainer, we're diving headfirst into a gripping biological mystery. We're going to unpack humanity's desperate, centuries-long, and honestly sometimes deadly quest to cheat death. We'll separate the myths from the massive frauds and ultimately uncover the stark, ticking clock that is waiting inside every single one of your cells right now. Part 1. The Quest for Immortality. To really grasp our biological limits, we first got to look at the modern outliers. The people who supposedly beat the system and pushed the human body further than anyone else in recorded history. Officially, the Guinness World Record for the oldest human belongs to a French woman named Jeanne Calment, 122 years old. She supposedly lived through 17 French presidents. But now what's really interesting about this is that behind this celebrated record lies a genuinely gripping forensic mystery. A group of Russian researchers spent years digging into her photos, her physical traits, city records, the whole shebang. And their conclusion? A massive multi-decade con. They actually claimed the real Jeanne died in 1934, and her daughter, Yvonne, just assumed her identity to evade these crippling inheritance taxes. So if that's true, the ultimate symbol of human longevity was literally just an incredible case of tax fraud.
Part 2. The 256-year-old man.
But honestly, even 122 years completely pales in comparison to a claim that defies all biological logic. We've got to travel to the Yunnan province of China to uncover the staggering legend of Li Qingyuan. When he passed away in 1933, local records suggested a frankly terrifying birth year, 1677, meaning he'd be 256 years old. The legends say he outlived 23 wives, had over 200 descendants, and survived on this super strict diet of wild ginseng and wolfberry tea. And what's crazy is modern researchers actually studied this tea and found a compound they dubbed vitamin X, which is a powerful chemical that genuinely rejuvenates brain and skin cells. But come on, could a vitamin really push a human past 2.5 centuries?
Lee actually attributed his impossible age to extreme meditation, famously telling people, keep a quiet heart, sit like a tortoise, walk sprightly like a pigeon, and sleep like a dog, which, is a beautiful philosophy. Okay, let's dive into this because modern biology has a much colder reality. Dr. Thomas Perls, a renowned genetics expert from Boston University, states flat out that from a demographic perspective, a 256-year lifespan is just a biological impossibility. Living to 100, immense feat, but 256 is biologically unattainable. And yet, that desperate desire to achieve that impossible number, it has driven some of the most powerful people in history to do incredibly dark things.
Part 3. Emperors and Lethal Elixirs. You see, humanity's obsession with cheating death is an ancient pursuit, and historically a wildly deadly one. It started with these ancient myths, like Chang'e swallowing a forbidden elixir to float to the moon. But that myth, it actually inspired real flesh-and-blood rulers to hunt for that exact same magic. Back in 210 BC, the first emperor of a unified China, Qin Shi Huang, became absolutely paralyzed by the fear of death. He literally sent fleets of children out to sea to find mystical immortals, fleets that vanished forever, by the way. He executed scholars who failed him, and this absolute desperation birthed a whole industry of alchemists who started looking past organic herbs, turning instead to inorganic, indestructible minerals. And this brings us to the dark, tragic irony of early alchemy.
While organic ingredients like lingji mushrooms actually did offer real antioxidant benefits, these alchemists believed that true immortality required consuming indestructible materials. So, they literally fed emperors crushed jade, rubies, and liquid mercury. Mercury was prized because of its fascinating liquid metal properties. They figured, hey, it'll preserve the body forever. The reality? It is a devastating neurotoxin causing kidney failure and brain damage. Emperor Qin Shi Huang, the man who conquered China and sought to live forever, died at just 49 years old. He was directly poisoned by the very elixirs he drank to achieve immortality. Talk about an incredible backfire. Part 4. Discovering the Hayflick Limit. So it took millennia to finally move past lethal alchemy and into true cellular biology, which is where the actual clock of life was finally uncovered. For decades, the scientific consensus was just dead wrong. You had Nobel laureate Alexis Carrel convincing the entire world that cells were naturally immortal, claiming he kept chicken heart cells dividing endlessly for 34 years. But then, in 1961, a young researcher named Leonard Hayflick completely, albeit accidentally, destroyed that theory. While culturing healthy human cells, Hayflick watched in absolute shock as the older cultures just stopped dividing. They didn't die immediately. They just flat out refused to replicate anymore. Human cells are not immortal. They have a hard biological stop. But the terrifying question was why? And the answer actually lies at the very tip of our DNA, in a microscopic structure called a telomere. Think of it kind of like the plastic tip at the end of a shoelace that stops it from fraying. Every single time a cell in your body duplicates, whether that's to heal a cut, grow skin, or just maintain your organs, that telomere gets a tiny bit shorter. It is, quite literally, a biological countdown timer, and it's unavoidably ticking away inside of you from the exact moment you take your first breath. Let's move to and see how this builds, because the process of this countdown is chilling in its precision. A healthy cell divides. The telomere shortens. Hayflick proved this can only happen between 40 to 60 times. Once that limit is hit, the protective cap is gone. The cell enters what's called apoptosis, which is programmed cell death. It degrades. And because your entire body is built from these cells, this microscopic limit translates directly to your macroscopic reality. Your wounds heal slower, your hearing fades, your skin wrinkles. This isn't just a theory. This is the undeniable mechanical reality of aging.
Part 5. Our final expiration date. Which brings us to the ultimate question. If we are biologically programmed to degrade after roughly 60 cell divisions, what does that actually mean for our total lifespan? I mean, sure, we know genetics and stress play a huge role in how fast we age, but even with flawless genetics, a perfect diet, and literally zero stress, the Hayflick Limit is an absolute mathematical ceiling. So if every single cell in your body maxes out its replication limit, how long can the human vessel actually survive before total systemic failure?
125 years. That's it. That is the biological expiration date of the human species. According to the Hayflick Limit, the human machine is simply not designed to exceed this number. And this perfectly explains why Jeanne Calment's 122-year record is viewed with such immense suspicion, and why Li Qingyuan's 256-year claim is entirely dismissed by modern biology. No matter who you are, we are all bound by the microscopic rules of our own cells.
But imagine, just for a second, if we weren't bound by those rules. I mean, in nature, the immortal jellyfish can actually bypass the Hayflick Limit. It continuously resets a cellular clock to theoretically live forever. If humans possess this ability, if we were continuously growing, consuming, and never naturally dying, we would face an absolute dystopian nightmare. Our planet would rapidly be overwhelmed, utterly unable to sustain a species that continuously reproduces but never actually exits the stage.
So maybe this limitation isn't actually a curse. Maybe it's a vital necessity for the balance of our world. We are human, and we simply cannot avoid the cruelty of time. Our expiration date is hardwired into our very DNA. But you know what? It's exactly that finite ticking clock that gives our time here its immense value. Will future genetic engineering ever allow us to rewrite the Hayflick Limit and cheat death entirely? Only time will tell. Until then, thank you so much for watching this explainer. Keep questioning the world around you, and I'll see you in the next one.